While I was hitting my workout today, I thought about three major things that I have changed a lot in the last couple years of me lifting that has actually allowed me to see the biggest benefit out of lifting these days. And I wanted to share those with you because I feel like every inch we can get on our journey to gain strength and size will allow us to get that much closer to a more refined approach and get us that much farther without having to. I mean, obviously, you're going to have to work hard for it, but not unnecessarily hard. So, of these three things, one of the first things that I will say is learning how to get to actual momentary muscular failure has been the single handedly best skill that I have learned this past year, especially. I used to think that I knew what it meant to actually hit failure. And as of this past year, I will tell you that I never knew what it was like to actually hit failure. Because when you hit actual momentary muscular failure, your reps get so grindingly, painfully slow, and it takes so much mental focus on what you're actually doing in order to get through those final reps. And I think a big portion of getting into the mindset that allows you to get to momentary muscular failure, or at least for me, has been being so focused and concentrated on the lift that I'm doing that I don't notice anything else around me. There is literally nothing going on around me. I create an entire bubble environment around me that allows me to just hone in. If I'm benching, I'm like, all right, pack the lats, row it down, press it up. All I'm focusing on is one rep at a time. And certain tricks that I've even used too, which I've been using more lately than ever, is on my first set of most exercises, I'll record it so I don't even have to think about the amount of reps, because sometimes the amount of reps that you have to think about getting will actually screw you up and make you think about other things. So my literal main objective in lifting, especially on the first lift, is hitting true failure. Because if I can hit absolute failure on my first lift, then I know I have to try to match it on the second one. And that competitive edge in me isn't going to allow me to bitch out and, get 3 or 4 less reps. I'm going to fight tooth and nail in order to try to get those extra reps. And that's what really has been making a major difference for me. So that's the first thing, learning the skill of failure. And I say it's a skill because you really do have to learn how to get to that. And the more you do it, I feel like the more I've learned how to actually hit that point. And I can only imagine that as years progress on from here, I'm only going to learn how to really utilize it and maximize it to my best benefit. So that's first and foremost. That was a disgusting burp. Man. Second, I've learned to work with exercises that have really good safety parameters in place. And what I mean by that is if you're benching, if you're squatting, if you're whatever you're doing, have it set up so that you know mentally when you fail, because there's going to be moments that, again, going back to my last statement, you're going to fail. When you fail, you want to be so confident in that failure that you're not even concerned about it. So the only thing, again, going back to the first point, the only thing you're going to think about is actually hitting the wall. So with my bench, I know the settings on the benches that I use that are going to be perfectly set up. They're not going to obstruct me when I come down, but when I come down and I fail, I know that they're not going to let me down and they're going to actually protect me from getting hurt. And the best thing about that is that now I don't need a spotter, and that's a huge weight off of my shoulders, because I don't know about you, but my experience with spotters is very dicey. A lot of people will be like, oh, come on, you got this, blah, 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 blah. And they'll talk all this stuff. And for some people, that helps. But for others, you almost need the person that's there to just shut up and just let you do what you got to do. And if the bar falls on you or you completely fail, they're just there to literally help you after the fact. Whereas most times you'll be doing, like, again, my biggest thing right now is building my bench. So this is going to be like the most related thing for me. But you're benching and you're going up and it's getting slow and slow and slow. And the guy's like, come on, bro, come on, bro. And he starts touching it. And he's like, all you, all you. For me, I'm under the pressure of that. And I'm like, don't touch it. But I'm losing my air. I lost my pressure, my grounding, and my focus, and now the rep just goes down the shitter, and the guy takes the bar off me. He's like, oh, dude, you could have totally got it the next time, blah, blah, blah. So taking that out of the equation and setting myself up in exercises where there's either the best safety parameter possible, or I'm on a machine where if I fail, I just literally put it back in its starting position. That has completely changed the ability that I have to really push myself to my furthest limit. Because again, if you have a spotter that takes it away from you or takes your focus away from you, at least for me, it can completely trash a set, and it makes you feel just like so irritable and takes you out of your zone. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing that I will say that I've changed, and I never thought I would actually ever make this shift, is for the most part, well, it's not letting your environment dictate your success, right? So if you have to use that bench versus that bench, if you have to use this bar instead of that bar, if you have to go without music versus with music, you just got to learn to be in such a zone where, at least I've learned to get in such a zone where, because I don't want to sound like I'm preaching to you, but I'm just sharing my experience with this stuff. I've gotten myself into such a zone where it doesn't even matter what's happening around me, what music is on, what bench or piece of equipment I'm using. I'm just trying to maximize the most that I get out of that. So when I track my workouts even, I'll go far enough to the extent where if I'm at this gym, I'll notate that I'm at this gym on this bench. If I'm using this bar versus another one, I'll notate that as well in my workout log. Little things like that so that you can at least base it. If your circumstance has to change, you have a basis as to, okay, well, I hit it with this bar at this weight for this many reps a couple of weeks ago. I haven't been able to use that one, and now I'm able to finally use it. At least you have a baseline measurement, so you're not using lesser equipment or something of that nature and then being all down that you got less of a workout. As long as you're really working yourself to true failure or near to it, again, depending on your circumstance and how your program's written out, it doesn't really matter as long as you're working the muscle really effectively. And another thing to really touch on that I've changed is, for the most part, I don't even listen to music anymore when I lift. I actually was watching, the guy's crazy, but he's got some good stuff to say. I was actually watching a David Goggins video once, and they were like, why don't you listen to music? And he's like, because if I'm doing X, Y, and Z and I don't got music, or the headphone dies or whatever, I don't want to be reliant on that to make me do the best that I can do. And I was like, at first I was like, wow, that's a little excessive. But as time's gone on, I've been in the middle of a workout where my ear pods die or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Why am I reliant on this in order to make me better? So I actually don't even listen to music anymore when I lift. And I actually find that I'm more consistent because of it. Because I'm not waiting for the beat to switch or waiting for a certain part in the song in order to hit this thing the hardest with the sound and everything like that. I'm literally just channeling whatever I got inside of me in order to do what I got to do. And because of that, I find that my workouts are more consistent from day to day or week to week or whatever. And so that's really just been a game-changing thing for me, because I never thought, especially with how much I love music, given that I've made it for over 10 years, I never thought I'd work out without it. And sometimes I will still put my ear pods in and I won't even play anything. I'll just have them in for the sake of having them in so that people don't want to look at me or talk to me or whatever. It's like a do not disturb sign. But that's pretty much that. I don't know. I use music in other parts of my life and not the gym anymore. So that's that. The things that have helped me, again, going back on it, learning how to hit true failure. So critical, because so many of us will give up on ourselves way too many reps short of what we could have actually done. And if you really know how to hit that failure point and you want to judge what 1 or 2 RIR is, it's so much easier to do it if you've hit failure constantly to the point where all right, I literally only have 1 left in me. Rack it up. Again, too, with the safety parameters and everything like that, I used to think using machines and stuff like that were kind of a joke. Smith machine, I've even mentioned that in a prior video. They're not a joke. It's actually amazing because, again, it lets you get farther into it and it lets you just really focus on what's important, and that's the work you're putting in. And third, just not letting your environment change your outcome. You are the dictator of your outcome, and you should be in complete control to the best of your ability while you're doing your workout. So that's it. I hope you got something useful out of this, and I'll catch you in the next one.